It's a global pandemic. That both creates and adds to poverty. Its stigma alone can be deadly. In the midst of HIV and AIDS destruction, countless agencies, organizations, and individuals labor to loosen the disease's grip on communities across the world. As an institution, the Catholic Church is one of the largest and arguably one of the most effective organizations in the struggle. It cares for 1 in 4 people living with HIV around the world. Yet much of its work is unknown and often misunderstood. What makes the Catholic Church so uniquely suited to respond to what many consider the public health challenge of our time? This is the third segment in a series about the Catholic Church and its response to the HIV pandemic. Here, we examine the Church's efforts to overcome one of the disease's most dangerous effects, stigma and discrimination.
The majority of HIV infections around the world are transmitted through sexual intercourse. And as a result of this mode of transmission, it results in significant stigma, significant silence about the disease, significant discrimination about those who are affected by the disease or infected with the disease, which has really challenged our prevention responses to HIV/AIDS since its inception. So wherever there is poverty, wherever there is social exclusion, wherever there is poor access to services, wherever there is silence or discrimination against people who are going to be affected by the disease, that is where the disease is able to take root effectively and to affect millions of individuals.
The role stigma and discrimination play in the spread of HIV cannot be overstated. It discourages people from being tested to find out their status, prevents those infected from seeking the care and information they need, often leads to job loss and social isolation, and compounds the suffering of families already struggling physically and emotionally.
You know, stigma and discrimination is still perhaps the one thing that, after 27 years of this epidemic, we're still grappling with, we're still fighting on a day-to-day basis. And stigma and discrimination cuts across the lives of people living with this disease, the families of people who care for people living with HIV/AIDS.
In the mid-1990s, Bridget Chisenga faced such discrimination while living in Botswana in southern Africa. As her illness became more apparent, she eventually lost her job as a teacher and school administrator. She was shunned by her community and ultimately was forced to flee to her native country of Zambia.
I'm a teacher by profession, and each time I went into the staff room, everyone would just go out of the staff room and so forth. Each time I passed through town, they would say, "There is Bridget. Within no time you'll see her. Finn." I had to go out of the country, but the stories still followed me.
When in Botswana, she sold her car to pay for her antiretroviral therapy. Her health improved dramatically, yet discrimination ended her career in teaching. She returned to Zambia and decided to join a Catholic Church-sponsored program to help others like herself.
Even the respect has been restored upon all that are HIV infected, because even in the communities we never had respect. But now people respect us. We are the people that were living before and are continuing to live despite the virus, because we are on treatment, we have the hope to live on, and we are providing for the families, continuing to be the breadwinners of each family or household.
Working alongside thousands like Bridget Chisenga, the Church is hoping to turn the tide against stigma. Cognizant of its ability to strongly influence hearts and minds, the leadership of the Church has issued multiple public statements exhorting the faithful to embrace those infected with and affected by HIV with compassion.
The Church leaders are often in a very powerful position to be able to destigmatize and to fight against discrimination because they are such a credible source of information in their community.
The bishops in many countries also have taken a lead role in responding to the situation of HIV by giving pastoral declarations, orientations to the people in the church. In the United States, the bishops prepared pastoral letters both in 1987 and in 1999. In Africa, more than 60 statements by different bishops' conferences have been made about HIV, again to try to orient people, to calm their fears, to encourage them to respond in solidarity to people living with HIV, and then to give good and clear orientation about how to prevent the spread of HIV by being faithful to the Church's teaching.
The Church also turns its attention to its own leaders and works to ensure their own priests, religious and lay members, are not sources of stigma.
We've actually seen clergy come forward in their faith community and say that they didn't realize that so many people can get HIV for many different reasons. And yes, I know that I have been a person who's condemned people, and I would like to ask for forgiveness for that. And I would like to say that we need to reach out in love to all people, regardless of what their illness or wherever they got their illness, whether it's HIV or some other illness. And take that reconciliation step of reaching forward and hugging a person that has publicly said, I have HIV, to make a public display of reconciliation. It's a very powerful act when that happens.
Education is the cornerstone to any effort to prevent the spread of HIV. Short of a cure, prevention is the surest and most complex way to eradicate the disease.
The messages of abstinence and be faithful or monogamy are important messages of the Church. And the Church feels like this is enough because they are the only two 100% effective means of prevention.
In the next segment, we look at the Catholic Church's approach to prevention education. Please stay tuned for our next installment of this series. To learn more about HIV and AIDS and how you can respond, visit crs.org/World AIDS Day.